Hello, hello, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning into Career Conversations. My name is Unica Walcott, and today's guest is a dear friend. Her name is Shanté Fields. She is the CEO and founder of Marshall Fields Consulting. She specializes in business development consulting for a variety of firms, but I won't spill all the beans. I'll let her tell you all about it. Welcome to the show, Shanté. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, ma'am. Really appreciate you having me on your show. Means a lot.
I was like, please say yes. And she was like, yes, babe.
Oh, you did.
So I was so happy. She's like, whatever, of course. Well, I always ask this question usually first out of the gate. What does your family think you do when you tell them you're a business development consultant,
Oh my gosh. I'm
or
actually
rather, chief client strategist?
I'm actually afraid to ask per se. Like, give me your version of what I do. Um, our 7-year-old son would probably tell you, "Mommy just talks." Um, but no, I had to explain to my family that, it's my job to connect people. I help people grow their business by helping cultivate relationships. And you'll hear me use the word cultivate and planting seeds. You'll hear me say that often because I truly believe it is a fact of nurturing
Mhm,
relationships. Um, in the construction industry, people still do work with people that they like.
mhm,
So it's up to me as a business developer to help clients, even if I was working for a full time company, to help them make sure they're meeting the right people, that they're investing in the relationships properly, that they know the right rooms they should be in, because knowing is half the battle most of the time. So,
yes.
yeah, it's definitely one of those where, I just have to explain to them that, I'm on the front end of the conversation. I'm in the beginning. I'm, helping helping secure the business and, make sure clients continue to grow their bottom line.
Well, that sounds like a lot more excitement than mommy talks on the phone.
I know. Depends upon what day of the week you ask him.
Oh, look, some people have said their kids are like, I don't know what she does. I just know I have snacks. So
Oh yeah, and he would probably say that you have games and everything. So yeah, that's what he'll say that.
that's pretty sweet. So we've talked a little bit about what your family thinks you do, what you actually do. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, how much time do we have allotted? No, I'm just joking.
We got plenty of time
I'm
today.
just
It's
messing.
our show.
No, so I actually wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be an emergency room physician. I wanted to be,
Wow.
yeah, I wanted to be in the thick of it. I wanted to, help people out in their most dire needs. That's where I wanted to be. So I started, oh my gosh, in ninth grade, in between my ninth grade and sophomore year in high school. My mom signed me up for this summer course for girls, young women who scored high on their state math and science. And I was like, "Mom, I don't want to go." She was like, "You're going." So, and it was a drafting course. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is cool. I like this." So I
Oh.
started drafting. My sophomore year was I think mechanical. My junior year was architectural drafting. And then my senior year, I could decide whether I wanted to do architectural or mechanical. So I loved architectural. So I did that. And my teacher, I'll never forget him, Mr. Bass, was like, "Well, what are you going to do in college?" And I'm like, "I don't know what because I felt like I wasn't smart enough to be a doctor because I wasn't one in my high school class, number one in my high school class. And
Oh
in my
wow.
mind, only the valedictorian went on to be doctors.
Oh
I
wow.
really didn't know what I was going to do. And so he was like, "Well, I think you'll be a good engineer." And I was like, "What they do?" And he was like, "That's kind of sort of what you do right here." And I was like, "Oh, they didn't make good money." And he was like, "Yes." I said, "Boom, that's what I'll do. I'll be an engineer."
She's like, look, where's the money?
I did. My mother has always instilled in me to make sure my educational foundation was secure. And she really wanted me to be ahead of the game. And so I really felt driven to, well, I love math and science anyway. So that was, I knew I needed to be there. So, yeah. And then when I got actually into engineering school, and I interned for 3 summers in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
New Mexico?
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's beautiful. Oh,
okay.
It's beautiful. So I was at Sandia National Labs working in the robotics unit. And that's a place where they take, they try and remove humans from harmful environments, because obviously you've got certain things, elements that they don't want the humans in. So they were going to put robots in that place. And I was bored out of my mind. It wasn't that the work was challenging. It was the fact that I was in front of a computer for 10 hours a day. And so I will never forget, my manager told me my junior year, he was like, you got to pursue what you love. And I was like, okay, my mama is not going to tolerate me talking about, oh yeah, I'm just going to switch over to chemistry now. I was almost halfway. Well, I was more than halfway through. So I finished my engineering degree. And then at A&T, I'm telling you, the big corporate America, they recruit heavily. And so even though I was thinking in my mind, oh, I want to be a doctor, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this science, I had big corporate America saying, oh, do you know how much this check is going to be every month? I was like,
Like, I'll take it.
There it is. Let me earn this little money while I can. I mean, in your early 20s, think about it.
No, early 20s, like, financial foundation is like a huge deal. Like, if you can get it, you take it.
Exactly. And I did. Moved to Louisville, Kentucky, another beautiful place. I love Louisville, but still wasn't happy. So I quit my job as an engineer. I know. I moved back.
You quit your job as an engineer. Okay.
Do you know how that went over with my stepfather? I will never forget standing in the kitchen. He was like, so you got an engineering job back here in North Carolina, right? And I'm like, no, I'm just going to pay the bills. He was like, are you crazy? I will never forget that conversation. But I did it. I cut the cord. And I will say this, and I have to give a shout out. My best friend, Adrian, oh my gosh, she was the kick that I needed. She said, look, you're not happy. You need to figure out what you're going to do. And like, she threatened me. She was like, I need a presentation in 1 week, a PowerPoint presentation of what you're going to do with the rest of your life. Talked to her on Wednesday. I was like, yeah. She's like, you got your presentation ready? I said, what? No. She was like, I wasn't joking. I will be at your desk when my meeting at 3:00 on Friday is over. I was scared. I was like, oh, she for real.
Everybody needs that friend though. Like, everybody.
I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this young lady, because she has definitely been my cheerleader. And as soon as I said, I think I want to go to medical school, she was like, okay, you need to do this. You got to apply here. She like started ticking off my to-do list like nobody's business. And I was just like, okay, thank you. So when I got back to North Carolina, I know it's kind of odd. Got back to North Carolina and I just literally need to pay the bills. So I'm working part-time at an engineering firm. Yeah. Then that moved in. I was just answering the phones, just literally answering the phone.
Oh, you didn't even do the engineering work. You just answered the phone. One of our users said, I think it was Linda. She said, we hardly know what we want to do a week from now. Look, I agree. I don't know what I want to do tomorrow. Never mind a week.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I was answering the phone at the engineering firm because I didn't want to distract from my studies.
Yeah.
I was taking the pre-med courses. But I wasn't being as disciplined as I needed to be with those courses. Yeah. So I found myself meandering, through the marketing. So once I was an admin, they was like, oh, can you put the proposals together for us? I was like, no problem. Started doing that. And then I was like, okay, what's next? And then they were like, okay, maybe you should do business development. And I'm like, well, what is that? I'm always like, well, what is it? What do you need me to do? Okay, I'll do it. And so that's what happened. I kind of went from a small engineering firm doing marketing, went to a national engineering firm, and those proposals were ginormous. We were working for Fortune 100 companies, and they were looking, yeah. We're talking 150-page documents. I think back then you had to print this stuff out. and put the dividers in it. So
well, they're still making us print them, even with COVID. Truth be told.
we're not going to talk about those. And then again, I found myself in a situation where I realized that I could not be stuck behind a computer for 10, 12 hours a day. So here in comes another really good friend of mine, Nancy Paget, who says, I got positioned for this business development position, but I don't think I'm going to move right now. How about you take that position? I was like, I ain't never done business development. She was like, don't worry about it. I got you. We going to do this. And I was like,
oh, nice.
Yeah. I promise you, she was like, don't worry about it. We got this. Come on. And she started, and when I went to business development full time, she started making sure I was at the right networking events, that I was literally right there alongside of her, getting the same introductions at the same meetings, at the networking events, at the volunteering events.
Wow.
So when I tell you your professional peers can just really become really close confidants, she made sure that I was going to excel at business development. And I'm forever grateful for her. Even just recently, when I went back to Asheville, North Carolina, she was right there. Come on, Shanté. I need you come with me. I'm like, people are like, oh, Shanté, are you going to go? I go wherever Nancy tells me to go. But it's worked out well. It's worked out well. And I'm very, very grateful for the path my career has taken, even though I would have never thought that I would be doing business development in the construction industry.
Yeah, that sounds like a wild path, but it sounds like you encountered some people who genuinely were invested in like linking their reputation with yours, or as I say, you found some really good sponsors for your career.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think is really important when it comes to your career. I was just talking to a really good friend of mine, and she was talking about her kids, her boys. I said, we don't always have to know immediately, like that user just said, we don't have to know immediately what we want to do from a career perspective. It's great that some people are like that. They get a path and then they're gone. But you have some people like me and are just like, oh, I think I want to do a little bit over here. Well, no, I changed my mind. I'm going to go over here. And to have people and resources that you can use to help you along that path, and that you can go to when you need that advice, when you need that input, when you need that stern word, like.
Yeah, I call you. She's laughing because I call clowning.
Man, I will not with you. I'm just going to say, but no, you're right, though. You need those sounding boards who are going to tell you, yeah, no, I don't think you should do that. Or, yep, it's okay to walk away from that. Because everyone throughout their career, you've had doubts. You've doubted yourself. You weren't sure if you were with the right company, or if you needed to go over and start and embrace this industry or this region of the country. But it's always good to have those resources. Yeah.
Definitely. So for someone interested in becoming a business development consultant, what skills do they need to have?
Well, you have to like people. I'm just going to put that out there. You have to like people, because your job is to talk to people.
Yes.
So that's part of it. I know for me, I like to research. So that scientific part of me is still with me. And that's kind of how I position a lot of my prospects and my clients. So like, I'm here to do the admin or the overhead work before you even realize or invest the time in talking to client X or client Y. I like to research, okay, who do you know within that company? Who within your own team knows somebody within that company? Okay, what kind of work do they have? Who they've been working with in the past? Are they satisfied? So I like that research part, and that research part is very essential in business development, because if you're looking at a client that has had a 25-year relationship with a design team, whether it's an architect, designer, GC, whatever, are you really going to invest 80% of your time trying to get into that or get work from that client? you need to look and see where is the best use of your time. So research is very essential in business development. There's no way of getting around it, even if to the point where you just call somebody and say, hey, do you know this client? It's still research. So it's got to be a part of your task and your to-dos. Growing your network, I think, is really important in business development, but more so growing your network authentically. I took a deep breath there because it's unfortunate that our industry or our job title carries a negative connotation. So people think of business developer, salesperson, used car salesperson. Sorry for any used.
Oh yeah, no shade to car salespeople, but yeah, they kind of run.
They do. Hence the reason why I changed my title, because business development is just like, one of those things. But you have to be authentic when you grow your network. And when I say authentic, I mean you have to invest in those relationships. I have professional peers where, I know their kids. I know their spouses. I know, where they live. Not in the sense of a stalker, but in the sense that I've spent so much time with them that, you just spend time with them, and it's a genuine connection. End user as well as, your business development peers. I will never forget a relationship I cultivated back in North Carolina. I saw this gentleman again last week in Asheville, Rick Holmes, who was retired from Nash Healthcare. Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely interested in Nash Healthcare because I grew up in Nash County. So I wanted to see that health system do well. Yeah. But
it's a personal connection.
Yeah. And I think that's a part of it too, because you have to be personally invested when you start developing these relationships. You have to be supporting a team that you believe in, that you can get behind, and that you genuinely love working with. And don't get me wrong, any relationship, you're going to have your good days and your bad days.
Oh, always. Yeah.
Always.
Look, Mindy's here. She said, I still remember the first call I made to Shanté. Real talk, no lie. I'm thinking that's what RTKL is. Pardon me if I don't know. For help with a client, and she delivered and still does.
Oh, so Mindy. But no, RTKL was with my first company I worked for when I moved up here to Baltimore. That's what that acronym is.
I was like, what is this? Okay, now I know.
But no, that engineer ran into him. I was with my parents and ran into him at Walmart. And he was like, hey, my daughter's getting married. Why don't you what? You're inviting me to your daughter's wedding? I think I'm busy, but, and I always go back to that because he didn't have to extend that invitation. He genuinely felt that he wanted me and my family around him and his family. So it's an authentic connection for me. And I want to be one of those people. I really strive to be one of those people that when I go through and I send out an email message or a text message, that people are like, oh, it's Shanté? Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and see what she needs and see how I can help her. I don't want people to see the email and be like, ugh, that one again, or delete. And to me, that's a part of the authenticity of your network. When people see your name, they think positive things. Again, it's not always going to be roses. It's not always going to be, champagne bottles popping, but
those days happen too.
And we like them. But no, that's what I feel like people could, those are key ingredients to business development, career.
Liking people.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have to like people. I'm just.
Do your research.
Be authentic.
I think those are great pointers, like for people. Someone also posed a question earlier. I wanted to get to this one. If you were mid-career or middle age and want to make a career pivot, how do you go about getting a sponsor?
So it's funny that you say that. I don't know if I would call myself mid-career, but I would definitely call myself middle-aged. So, I don't know too many people who start their own business in their 40s, but, I feel like you need to talk to people um, who are currently where you want to be and where you want to go, because they will have so much insight into the minefields that they've come up against or had to navigate around. And those people may not actually be your sponsor. There are different levels. You got the whole advocate, the mentor, the sponsor, and all of those carry different connotations and different definitions and different purposes. But do as much research as possible to find out who is doing what you want to do. I have a good friend who is a medical ER physician, Dr. Marcosi. And a couple years, probably about 3 years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, we sat down and had another career conversation, because I'm always toying with medical. I can't get away from it. And so it's so sad.
It's not sad. It's great. You have like a passion.
It's so sad. But I sat down to talk with him about how can I intertwine, or how can I make use of where I've been and my passion and my drive. So that's an instance where you reach out to a person who is where you want to be. Now, am I going to be the head honcho that he is? Absolutely not, because he started that day one at way earlier in the age game than I did. But he has insight. He has insight into who he works with, especially when it comes to his community efforts, especially when it comes to, his whole overall healthcare. He knows who's on his team. He knows those positions. So you go, again, research and find those people who can give you insight, knowledge, and direction on where you're pivoting. You'll be much better prepared. You'll have more of an arsenal, so that you're not going into it blindly. And in my 20s, I didn't have LinkedIn, obviously. So we're not even going to discuss the resource that LinkedIn is, because you can literally go in and type a region of the country, title and position, and you will get a list of names. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with genuinely reaching out to people to say, hey, I reviewed your credentials. I like where you are. I think you have a lot to offer me. Can we spend time talking? I need your support. I need your resource. I need your knowledge. And just got to talk to people. You got to figure it out.
Definitely. I like that suggestion of like, look, you probably already know the people you need to talk to. Reach out, have those conversations. Someone remarked earlier, I wanted to share this. This was from Charmaine, when we talked about you changing your title to Chief Client Success Strategist. And she said, true, business development, it should be, client relations specialist or something like that.
Yeah. So it's funny. I chuckle because I remember the very first time I wanted to change my title from business development. I was working with Chris Emmenizer at Sonero. And I was like, Chris, I think I want to change my title on my business card. It was like, make it whatever you want to, but you do understand it doesn't come with a promotion.
He said, look, you can do whatever you want, but we ain't paying you no more money.
Oh my gosh. I said, you are so crazy. But it gave me that freedom to create a title that I thought worked better for me. And if I'm not mistaken, at that time, I actually took my title off my business card.
Oh, wow.
I did. I took my title off my business card simply, and now that is a trend. I met the owner or founder and CMO of an engineering firm last week, and he doesn't have that on his business card because he doesn't want that stereotype. He doesn't want people to come to him and say, oh, so you're the chief marketing officer. Can I talk to you about? He doesn't want that dialogue to be a part of he doesn't want it to be a part of the conversation.
He's like, let's just talk because you want to get to know me and build an authentic sort of connection.
Authenticity. Yes. And so I came up with that title. So I've been working with a fabulous lady, Carrie Ann Williams, for the past, this November will be 2 years. And I have learned so much from her as far as like a business leader, a team leader, and just an all around great person. But, we were talking about titles, what my title was going to be, while working with her. And I'm just like, So I'm helping your clients become successful. How about a client success strategist? She was like,
oh, wow.
Okay. So I added the chief part to it when I opened my own company. So it was kind of like I took the title that I use when I'm working with her in her firm, and I took it for myself. So, but it is
nice.
You're working, and you have to put insight and strategy into how you're going to make people successful. So, yeah, that's where that title came from. I know it's kind of odd.
I don't think it's odd. I think that it makes people ask a question, and that in itself invites a conversation, and that's really your goal here.
And it's so funny that you say that. A couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with my husband, who's also in the construction industry. Go figure. But we were talking about that. I said a lot of times you want to lead people to the question so you can explain a little bit further about what you do, or what's your company, why did you name your company that way, what do you do? And so it's kind of like you said, you got to have that initial inquiry, or have people curious about why certain things. Now, I'm not saying go name your company Lego Blue or whatever, but
yeah, but you mentioned kind of the backstory behind Marshall Fields Consulting. What made you pick the name? Do we have time for the story?
We do.
Okay.
We do. So it's funny because my husband and I, we have had random 3 a.m. conversations. And
3 a.m.
Yeah, go figure. Random 3 a.m. conversations. So when I was calling, I was like, okay. I was like, what should I name my business? He was like, well, it should be, maybe you should make it family related. Give your father some credit and da 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 da. So I came up with the name, and 2 days later, maybe 3 days later, he was like, well, what did you decide? And I told him the name. He was like, I didn't tell you to do that. Dude, yes.
I didn't tell you to do that.
I said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to rectify this. And so because I had already finished the business certification, or filing the business license, excuse me, I went and decided to do a DBA, doing business ads or trading. Okay. And that's when I went back. So Marshall Fields is family name. It's part of my son's name. Marshall is a shout out to my mother, his grandmother. And that's where his middle name came from. So, and it's one of those things that I feel like it's generic enough that if he wanted to start his own business eventually, it could come up under that. So that could be another service offering, another piece of the pie. So ultimately, it was more of a family-centric decision.
I like this.
I knew I was going to get questions about, Marshall Fields the clothing. No.
Right.
No. But yeah, it was something near and dear. And it was, it was a family thing. And my husband gave me a little nudge about the whole family thing. So that's where it came from. Even though he told me one thing and not the other.
Well, what can you do? Husbands just like sometimes.
I know. He still denies it to this day, so it's okay.
He still won't admit it though. All right, we won't show him this accusation. It'll just start problems.
Oh no, he's here.
Oh
no. That's why I threw him under the bus publicly.
I'm sorry. Oh my God. Oh.
I know. I'm sorry.
I have to get myself together. Should I just threw him under the bus? You got people over here laughing too. Shanté is cracking up.
You know? But no, again, that's that whole authenticity. Let me tell you what really happened. It was a
What really
3
happened is this
What
3A
really happened was
conversation had me
don't
filing DBAs.
do not talk to your spouse at 3 a.m. about crucial business decisions. If you don't learn nothing else from this whole conversation today.
Noted. I try to find time when he's like not in the middle of like flight simulator or something.
See, there you go. Because the whole attention is not where it
It's
needs to
not there.
be.
He's like, you said that? I'm like, yeah, I did. Are you sure? You got to make sure you
Mhm.
like make eye contact. You're like, you hear?
No, see, you understand. You've been there, done that.
Yes, yes. So we've talked about the fact that you wanted to be a doctor. You've got this love of hate sort of thing with medical. You like working with people. You believe in research. You have had wonderful sponsors throughout your career. What is something you wish you knew before you got started?
Honestly, no, this is in all sincerity. I would go all the way back to high school. I wish I knew that you didn't have to be valedictorian to become a physician. Um, I wish I had done that same research that I do now. I wish I had done that at that age to find out the best way to become a physician.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's probably one thing that, if I could quote unquote do over. But then again, I wouldn't be in Baltimore. I wouldn't have met my husband. I would not have met you.
Right,
So
because Baltimore's a magical place. Yes, Shannon said, "Thank you for bringing me so much laughter and joy this morning. Love it. I'm so
sorry.
glad you're here. Thank you, Shannon."
But yeah, but related to business development, um, I think it's interesting to work for different sides of the conversation. And when I say sides of the conversation, I've worked for an AE firm, I've worked for a general
Mhm.
contractor, I've worked for an audiovisual consultant that supports the design team. I've worked for a furniture manufacturer. The only side of the conversation that I have not been on is the client side. But
Right.
that entire continuum, I've either been, at the beginning of the hunt or somewhere in, halfway or three quarters of that hunt. So that has allowed me the ability to connect the dots, but
Mhm.
it has also allowed me to broaden my network, to be totally honest, because think about it. When you're a GC or you're a design firm, you got to talk to the end user. That's usually where, how you walk in the door, you get work. Well, when you're an AV consultant and furniture, you need to tie back to the architects and the interior designers because they're going to have the insight. They need to know what your product and what your service offerings are because, that's where you get pulled in. But the more you know, even from research, you know,
Research.
research, what projects are coming, then you're still at the end or you're in the entire construction process. So I would tell people to get as much um, diversity in the conversations and where you are in the construction process or the construction phase. It makes you a lot more insightful. It makes
Hmm.
you a bigger resource so that people can rely on you. Okay, well, she understands or he understands. So, I can go to them and they're gonna, lead me in the right direction. So
Well, that is really excellent insight in terms of, like you said, getting all these perspectives and being able to come to the table and understand like what's important to the general contractor, what's
yeah,
important to the interior designers.
yeah.
All of that, I think, makes you makes for an excellent sort of developer or strategist for this.
It's funny, how people say, what is it? I'm not an expert in one, but I'm dangerous enough because I know a little bit about
Yeah,
several different things. Yeah,
yeah. I tell people all the time, it's like I'm not an expert at this, but I know enough to be dangerous.
there it
Like
is. There it is.
enough to be dangerous. And so that if all by itself invites you to ask better questions. And
Of
so there's
course.
things you don't understand, you either find the resource to get up to speed or you know who to call.
And I am a question. I remember my eighth grade math teacher. I don't remember her name, but she wrote in my yearbook, don't stop asking questions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I will never forget that. We'll be in a conference room and I'll be like, I got a question. And like everybody else be like saying, I'm like, if I don't know, I'm gonna ask you. I may not ask you immediately, but I'm definitely gonna pull you aside at the end and ask you, because you won't know if you don't ask a question.
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know. So
my mom said,
yeah, we got to be comfortable with asking questions versus going down a path where, you know, you get 3-4 miles down the road and you're just like, oh, I probably should have exited, you know, way back over here.
A couple miles ago. Yeah.
This, you know, maybe 3.5 miles ago.
Yeah. Save everybody time. Save yourself the stress. Raise your hand.
Raise your hand. Ask a question. Ask a question. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's great advice. Is there anything you haven't asked that you would like to share?
I am one of those people that I embrace change, and I know everybody's different. But I love change. I probably thrive off of it a lot. Hence the reason why I'm having fun right now with my business.
That's good.
I really am. I'm having fun because it's not every day same thing. You know, now granted, I have standing appointments with clients, but you know, the middle of the week, I could have the Marshall Fields consulting hat on. The other side, you know, day of the week, I could have the engineering client hat on, and it's always something different. And again, I'm the type of person who I embrace change. I love change. It's exciting. It's something new, something different. And that's why I like, when I wasn't finding work in North Carolina, I had no qualms about relocating because I embraced change. And it's so funny. My mother tells everybody, she said, well, I prayed to God that she would get a job. I guess next time I'm going to be a little bit more specific with God on where this job is. He did deliver her a job, but I didn't put any parameters on that job. And so, that's my mother. And so I did. I just packed up and people were like, well, did you know anybody in Baltimore? No. Yeah. I knew somebody in Northern Virginia. That don't count. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I embrace change, and I encourage people to embrace change, simply because you just never know what's going to be on the other side of that. It could be something so exciting and something different. And I also have to say, I never grew up wanting to be an entrepreneur.
No.
Ever. I was in my comfort zone. Give me my paycheck every 2 weeks. Make sure it's in the bank Friday when I get there. I was that person. I was a
really. I'm having a hard time imagining that. But okay.
All day, every day. And so I've gone through a couple of layoffs, and my husband was like, why don't you start your own business? And I'm like, I need a W-2. I need to make sure that insurance is there. I need to make sure that paycheck is there. Can't do it. And so finally, when I opened my business, he was like, didn't I tell you a few years ago to start your own business? And I was like, you know what, just go away.
just leave me alone.
Go away. But I will say the benefit of doing it now, when I first thought about doing it, and see, God works in mysterious ways. I knew my position was going to end. So I was hunting. I was looking for work. Nothing was coming in. I was getting no offers. I don't even think I was getting second interviews. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I reached out to Carrie Ann, and she was like, yeah, I would love to have you on my team. And so I tell my husband this time is different because I had lined up 2 clients before I even filed for my business license. So it's a little bit more comfortability this go round than having to go and hunt for my
Yes.
food. You know what I mean?
No, that makes total sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mindy commented. She said two best things about our profession: the relationships and friendships we build, and the thrill of never having the same day twice. Woo, that is true.
It is never the same day twice. Even something as simple as you go in and, oh, I got to grind out this RFP, this proposal. Oh crap, the internet's down at the office. Oh crap, this isn't
The
working.
printer will not print a single thing.
It's not uploading to the client website. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, you're getting
Yeah.
something thrown at you different every day. And you have some professions that are just, day in and day out, this is what I do. But yeah,
I've
in the
had those too. I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all.
I do not miss it at all. But I will say being an entrepreneur has given me that variety that I never knew. Well, in hindsight, yeah, I knew I needed that variety. That was the reason why I couldn't be behind a computer for 10 hours a day. But yeah, I like change. I like variety. I really like having my own business. Timing is, fortuitous. Like literally, who would have thought that 3 months after starting your business, you come into a global pandemic?
Ooh.
When my whole job is to meet people and network, and I like to say shaking hands and kissing babies. That's my job.
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
That's my phrase. I love it. And that's why people hire me often. But it also allowed me time to work with my son because my son came out of school. He was virtual. So my husband's career, he's heads down, he's focused, deadlines, deliverables, that sort of thing. Whereas I had a lot more flexibility in my schedule. So everything happens for a reason. God knew what he was doing. But I enjoy having that freedom, having that, ability to say, you know what, let me carve my meetings around this block of time because I'm going to go with him on his field trip. Or I'm going to volunteer at the school every week, passing out pencils to kids who's earned rewards. I appreciate that flexibility in my day. So
that's awesome.
It's one of those things you got to find. People talk about passion. You have to find your passion, and you have to go with it. You have to. I'm a firm believer in that. And I feel like that's what I've done. Now, if I could just figure out how to tie in the medicine.
Well, we will figure that out soon. I'm sure you're going to call me with an update before the year's out. I'm like, Unica. And I'm like, see, I told you.
My husband's going to put me outside. He's going to be like,
but this is really clicking with people. Shannon said, growth and evolution happen at the edge of our comfort zone. I can relate.
Definitely growth. Woo! Definitely growth.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Your comfort zone, you're right there. Yeah.
Just leap on over the edge a little bit. Yeah. Well, someone asked, I believe this is Linda, she said, what advice would you give to people who don't do well with change but need to embrace it better?
That's a difficult one. I might get a little philosophical here. So
okay.
I feel like we all need to work on change. Okay, if you go back and if you were to really take a look at our current climate, socioeconomic, a lot of it is the fear of change. A lot of it is not wanting to do anything different than you've always done or be around the people that you've always been around. But when I tell you, I walk into a room just last week at the engineers conference, I knew I would find a couple familiar faces, but I had no idea who I would interact with and how those interactions would brighten not just my day, my week, and what it leads to long term. So I say all of that to say, if we just stop fearing change is not always negative. And I think it has a very negative connotation. And don't get me wrong, there are some changes that are just like straight slap in the face, punch in the gut, and a clip of the knees. I get it. I've had some, family members that have had some serious health complications, and it makes you think about it. But change can be difficult, but in the end, it can be so rewarding. Like,
Yes.
you know, when I walk into a room and I talk with people from different backgrounds, different countries, and I mean, you could walk out with a new recipe of your favorite food. I mean, just you know, work on it. Don't embrace the fear of change. Embrace the positive of change. And I would even go as far as to say, start doing like little things. Like, you know, we all are creatures of habit. So let's just say you have a favorite pair of sneakers and you put on the same pair of sneakers every time you walk out the house. Put those sneakers in the closet and bring out another pair of sneakers. You're changing. Instead of your normal coffee routine, do something different with your morning coffee. Go over to that coworker who you don't know, but you've heard a couple little interesting conversations and you want to get to know a little bit more. Go over to that coworker and talk to them and ask them, hey, were you talking the other day about mountain bike riding? My son is interested in da 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 da. So I think it's we don't have to do the big change of pack up my whole house and move to California. That's a
Right.
huge change. Just little bitty small changes. Go to a different grocery store.
Yes.
Pick out a
Yes.
different ketchup. Ketchup.
Okay, where are we going with ketchup?
I am a Heinz fanatic. Heinz fanatic. I bought an off-brand for like a cookout or something, and I ran out of my Heinz. I had to use the off-brand.
How does this go?
It's fun. I mean, it's just.
I mean, when you said you're a fanatic, so I was like, this might be serious. Like, we might have to have a catch-up intervention.
My point being, it was change, and I would not have used or purchased that ketchup. I would have used it if it wasn't in my house and I had run out of my oldie but goodie. So that's what I'm talking about, the change. It's like take the little small steps. And I know it may sound frivolous, but if you're a type of person who don't like change, doing something drastic will be mind-boggling, upsetting, and potentially detrimental. But if you get in the habit of the small changes, then I feel like you'll eventually grow to embrace. You'll embrace change. That's the advice I have.
I think that's great advice. Start with the little things and kind of work your way up and build the mental flexibility necessary to embrace change. Good question, Linda. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have covered some really exciting things. I want to make sure people know where to reach you. And so I'm going to share the website just so everybody knows. It's marshallfieldsconsulting.com. So that's one way you can reach Shanté. Also got her email and phone number for you if you guys want to grab a pen and take this down too. I'm gonna leave this up for a few more seconds. I realize everybody doesn't write as fast as I might talk sometimes.
And it's a really long website name. Just imagine when you're trying to insert your email address at the little terminal to receive electronic receipts.
Oh man, like don't you wish it was like Google Chrome where it just like auto-populates everything for you?
Yes. That is my friend. Chrome is my friend for that reason and that reason alone.
Yes,
too much to type.
I am a fan. So this is your email.
Before we close out, I want to remind people I have had so many people supporting me throughout my my career, and especially with this whole entrepreneur venture, new chapter in my life. I'm really excited about my website because I've had a couple of great ladies who have supported me and are working with me throughout this entire time. Rebecca Dunter, who she owns her own creative firm, and she helped me come up with the copy. And I was so apprehensive. I was very strategic about my website because of who I am and my personality. I knew I couldn't have a standard Shanté Fields, the business development consultant who has spent the past 20 years. I knew that wouldn't bring forth my true personality. So I waited until I was financially capable to hire somebody to do the copy for my website. And I appreciated the process because I was literally just talking to her. We were conversing via Zoom. She's taking copious notes. She brings me back content, and I said, I need to sit with this for a minute. And she said, I knew you would, because I know who you are. I didn't feel like all of those things were me, but it was the encouraging step that I needed to make sure my website portray my firm in the way that I wanted it to portray. And then the young lady who actually did my design, Sancha, I worked with her when I was at Hayward. She's a fabulous, fabulous graphic designer. I'm hoping my stepdaughter still goes into that field. But, you know, she helped me. Like, I knew I loved a particular color, and I knew I wanted to be clean and crisp. And she came up with my logo. She's helped me with my template design. She obviously did the website design. So those are additional resources that you should, you know, just remember that you do have people that will support you and help you throughout the process. And I'm just really excited for how the website came out. And I'm just excited about it. So I'm raving a little bit about my website.
It looks really good. I peeked at it, and I remember like the original, and I was like, oh, okay. That's
and we
nice
actually work. we did. I worked with a friend of mine, her husband, Ari. We did some office photo shoots. So my website is going to get another update where we're going to actually have some live action shots of people I know and not.
Oh, nice. That is really exciting.
But but steps. I had to take those steps. I didn't have all of that in the beginning, and I was okay with that. I knew that it was going to take time because I wanted it to have the look and feel of my personality. Plain and simple, my personality.
Right. It's your business. It's your baby. I missed this comment earlier, but I wanted to share what someone said. I'm a Heinz fanatic, and I won't use anything else, but I'll do try with the mustard. Try with the mustard. So you got,
but the mustard.
Right. And back to your change advice. Shannon says it's definitely not frivolous. It's about developing new neural pathways for embracing change. That is exactly it.
See, there's the science behind it. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you, Shannon.
See, people are with you. You was like, this might be frivolous. It's like, nope, this is solid advice. Solid advice. All right. So, Shanté, thank you so very much for being a part of today's career conversation. Yeah. I have enjoyed myself beyond measure. Someone said, I love how you gave a shout out to your creative consultants. Yeah, if you want to send me that information, I can make sure that it goes up in the YouTube links and comments. So people, if they're interested, they can reach out.
Look, I tell everybody, I know my strengths and my weaknesses. And that's why I think I had to get away from proposal writing, because I know that that's not my strength. I can't start with a blank sheet of paper. If you show me some ideas, and I can say, I like this, I like that, or I don't like that. But that's the reason why I hired those professionals, because I knew I try and operate within my lane, stay within my lane.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you, Shannon, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you. Shannon says she's looking forward to checking out your website. So,
awesome.
Hey, this is great.
I appreciate you asking me. I can't even tell you how honored I felt when you sent me that email. I feel honored. I love how you have just expanded and spread your wings in all of the things that you're doing. It makes me so excited to even look back on how our relationship has developed and cultivated over the years.
Like, I remember being like a little scared person, like walking into the SMPS Maryland events and be like, are they gonna talk to me? Can I talk to them? I'm scared. Like,
you got it. Even though we're not in the same state and the same zip code, it's still good to stay in touch with you and to talk with you.
Definitely. Mindy says, great conversation. So good to see both of you. So great to have you, Mindy. Thank you for being a part of today's conversation.
She's another one of those powerhouses that I have relied on and just constantly. I consider her a part of my executive director board. I have one of those.
You gotta have one of those. That's a whole other topic about like having that personal board of directors to make sure you are on point.
But no, Mindy is one of those great powerhouses, and I am truly blessed to know her and call her a friend. She even loves my son, so that's another good thing.
Oh, yeah. Shannon, she's wishing you brilliant success
Aw.
in your business. If there's anything I can do to support you, let me know. She's a DEI consultant. For
Oh,
so just putting that out there if people are curious to know more about Shannon.
yep.
That's another person in the arsenal you can consider reaching out to.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon.
Linda said, "Thank you. This was a great conversation." Brenda says, "Great job,
Aw.
mom."
That's my
Oh,
mother.
oh, hey, that's so sweet.
I know. She supports me. She loves me unconditionally. But that's our son is named after her. So
Oh, look, moms, man, what would the
oh,
world be without moms?
and I'm raising
Woo.
I'm raising a son, and it's fun right now. It's but like I really like the kid. You know what I'm saying? It's
That's
just
good. I was teasing. Somebody's always asking. People are always asking, like, when are you having kids? I was like, I don't know. I said, plus, you don't even know if your kids are gonna like you. Like,
trust me.
like,
I think he only likes me to feed him. I'm gonna be honest with you. So
oh my gosh, yes, yes.
yeah.
We love you too, Mindy.
Love
Mwah.
you.
All right, I have held people hostage long enough today with all of our like laughter and shenanigans. I knew this was gonna happen.
You kind
Without
of
fail, we
predicted
always cut up when we get together. So everybody, it has been my absolute joy and pleasure. Shanté, thank you for being here. Thank you all for watching. Shannon, Mindy, Miss Brenda, Linda. I can't keep up with everybody, but that's like a really incredible blessing to have that I can't even like name everybody. So thank you so much for your presence. I
that.
am taking a break next week, guys, because it is a holiday weekend and I like to try and human, but we will be back the following weekend with more incredible guests. So if you guys want to taste of what's coming up, I will pop that up on the screen. And you can also follow me on, LinkedIn. Check out my website. It's there for you to check out. Mine is not as fancy because it is like the beta version of like, let's just get it going. And so it's
I was there.
uniquewalkout.com.
I was
So I was
there.
like, I just need you to be able to find me. So
I'm gonna go
that's
ahead
what
and
it is for
bookmark that.
now. And when I make more time, I'll put in more work and it'll be all the bells and whistles I dreamed of. So thank you all. And until September, I think 11th. Bye.
Bye.